All right.
Live.
Looks like we're live. All right, guys, we're live. And so I am here. We're live together in the same room.
Right.
No headphones, no nothing. So the reason why we're going live today is we've got Todd Monken's comments saying that things were a total mess. This is being reported by Zach Jackson out of the Atlantic. It was picked up by Yahoo Sports, so this made a little bit of waves today. And we just wanted to hop on live since my dad's here in Orlando, and give you our live comments. This is one of the first times you actually can be able to read the chat in real time with everybody.
Right.
Hey, and Happy New Year's. Thank you very much. Dizit, Real Browns Fan 32, what's going on? Everybody else is kind of just like trickling in slowly. X-Men Avenger, how's it going? Just saw that. More proof that Freddie was an incompetent. Anyway, Dad, give us your thoughts. Let me know, what do you think about the article? What you read?
Well, I'm looking at my phone here just to refresh my memory, but the headline that caught my eye today was Browns offensive coordinator told opposing coaches team that the Browns were a total mess before the game. So he would go over during the pre game exercises and whatnot, chat it up with the other coaches and tell them that it was it was a mess behind the scenes on the Cleveland side.
Right.
So why he would do that, I don't know. I've always told Mike, you either lead, follow, or you get out of the way. And he was not going to lead because Freddie wasn't going to give him anything to lead. And he obviously was not following because he was undermining the coach. And I could see he'd be a little frustrated from the standpoint of not giving him anything to do. But if you can't follow, then you got to get out of the way. You got to say, hey, I'm out of here. I can't put up with this. He was virtually paid to do nothing for an entire season.
Yeah.
And obviously that wasn't enhancing his career by having to sit there. He didn't want to quit, I guess, and try to get another job mid-season. So he goes over and he chats it up with his friends. That was disappointing to read that. However, he said something in the article that I'm going to quote, and it says, multiple sources told The Athletic that late in the season, Monken would spend time on the field before games telling opposing coaches how bad things were with the Browns, calling the team a total mess, and saying that Kitchen's Sunday play calling, this is the key here, Sunday play calling generally steered away from most things that had been in the game plan from Wednesday to Saturday.
Yeah. So
think about that. And I it didn't hit me first, but then I thought about it on my drive up here for 3 hours up from Parkland to Orlando, and I'm thinking, man, that makes a lot of sense. Think about how many times we came out of the box with scripted plays, and we went right down the field, and we scored. One of the things they said on Sunday when we lost to the Bengals had not scored on their opening drive the entire season until they scored against us.
Yeah.
So to go that long is an embarrassment, but then to almost, how many times did we score? Did we get, maybe not score, but touchdown, but we looked great coming out of the box, including this last week against Cincinnati. We went through him like butter, and he throws a great touchdown, and it's over. Yeah. We get down to the 5-yard line, and then things fall apart in the red zone, and we don't score. But think about it. You script out your first 8, 9, 10 plays. They go great, and we do what we need to do, and then we bog down. And then when you come back, according to Monken, Freddie starts ad-libbing, and he starts moving off his own game plan to things that were not practiced in the week. And you wonder why Baker's calling people over from from one side of the field to the other because they're not lining up right. Mm-hmm. He's calling plays, he's ad-libbing off of the sheet that's in front of him, and he's not continuing what he had people practice from Wednesday to Saturday. and you wonder why guys screw up the plays and why they weren't more consistent. It makes, for me, it made a whole lot of sense that Freddie was just off script, trying to ad lib and improvise when and your guy, especially those trick plays where you have to do this and do that, and guys have got to go in the right direction and whatnot. If you haven't practiced those from Monday through Saturday, of course you're going to screw them up. And you got backup players in there. Think how many times Odell Beckham went to the wrong side of the field, and Baker's waving him back over, which is wasting time for him to come across the field to line up so that they can hand it off to somebody to go up the middle. It just made a whole lot of sense that things, crystallized for me of why things went so wrong after we got off to such great starts in. I'd have to go back and look at all the games, how many times we scored on an opening drive, or we had a touchdown, or we got to the red zone, and then we were never the same after that. We would get into that funk, and people would describe it as a funk and a dull period, or a we don't know what we're doing period. I think that's Freddie on his own, trying to save the day with his play calling. And it didn't work out game after game after game. So that's what hit me about this article, and it's really depressing now that these drip types of stories are coming out. People turning on Freddie, turning on the Aslans, and turning on Dorsey. Eventually, people are going to come out with negative stories about Dorsey and what he did and how he changed things and how he meddled or did this or did that.
Well, hold on a second. A lot of people are saying that we're having some lagging issues. I am upping this in ultra low latency mode, so to try to be able to see your comments right as we're doing it, and I'm upping it at like 5,000 kilobits per second. So if you don't have a really strong internet connection, you might want to watch this in post, or after it goes through, and just watch it on demand, because it may be a little bit difficult. I want to say Happy New Year's to everybody: Alex, Massimiani, DF Sports, Laura, shout out to Thrill, X-Men Avenger, Max Nikolenko, what's going on? We have got a couple comments in here. First off, it looks like a real team. The drives look like a real team. You're right. So what my dad was saying was, coming out of the gate, we were like, this is the greatest team ever. We leveraged all of our talent. We were on script. We had practiced it, and we came out perfect. But then when the game started moving, and because you can't script for, okay, this is our first down play, right, this is our second down play, okay, and now now we had 2 penalties, so now it's 3rd and 18. So you can't script that. You have to then kind of make it up as you go.
Right.
But what that sheet that he's supposed to have on his thing is supposed to say, okay, if it's 3rd and long and you're in your own part of the field, the 30-yard line or further back, these are the plays that we're going to go with depending upon what the situation is in the game, XYZ. And it seemed like Todd Monken's comments, if we're kind of reading through what's being said here, is that Freddie would practice and he would put in a game plan and then instantly decide to go off in chaos land and make it up as he goes, right, in an ad hoc way, as opposed to having a standardized script and methodology behind it.
Yeah, staying with your running game, staying with a 3-step drop, going with the 2-minute drill or whatever, the things that they had practiced. If you don't practice these plays, how do you expect to pull them off without a hitch in a critical situation in the middle of the game when you're playing against live competition? You're not playing against just guys holding up dummies and standing there in a practice. You're playing against guys that are not going to go to the outside when you want them to go to the outside. They're going to go to the inside or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it just, boy, when I read that, I said, that makes a whole lot of sense as to Freddie was on an island by himself after 3/4 of the game or half the game. And the players are looking at themselves saying, we didn't practice that play, or we didn't know that play. No wonder it didn't work, and the guy wasn't ready for it, or this or that. And also Baker having to look at his wristband as often. I was seeing him look at his wristband when the guys are on the line of scrimmage,
right, and
he's ready in the shotgun to take it, and then he refers back to it and say, what did I just call, or what did they call, and who's my first read, and whatever. I mean, that would never happen with a Belichick team. They would be prepared come hell or high water, and that didn't seem to be the case. And we were always scratching our heads saying, why does this happen week after week? Now it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of people are saying that they want to keep Elliott Wolf and Mike McCarthy. That's the answer. Haslam should sell the team. I'm on board with that. Everybody else, Chubb's lost the title for not using him more. I agree with that, Laura. And that, I had been saying that for weeks. If you've been on this channel or watching me on Twitter, I've been saying Freddie Kitchens is going to cost Nick Chubb the rushing championship. Nick Chubb doesn't really care about that sort of thing. But we do as fans. I mean, it's nice to say that we had a rushing leader, and then we lost him. We lost to one of the worst defensive in the league, one of the worst teams in the league, the worst team in the league, and we couldn't maintain Nick Chubb getting enough touches to get the rushing title. Now, they did say that they were game planning against Nick Chubb, and they were like, we're not going to let Nick Chubb beat us. And guess what? Cincinnati was right. If you're gonna put guys up on the line and not allow Nick Chubb to beat you, then the rest of it comes into play. The deflections, the deflected at the line, the forcing balls into wide receivers, all of these things happened, which then created a bad situation for us. Plus, our defense just decided to not play against Andy Dalton, make Andy Dalton look like Randall Cunningham / Michael Vick / whoever.
Right.
So yeah, I think there's going to be more stuff that's going to come out about these Browns, and I think that one of the things that Pete Smith actually tweeted this out, that out of all the things that were going on with the Browns, of all the things that are talking about with Todd Monken, all the comments that are coming out that are being leaked, everything that's being said, John Dorsey was there and knew it was happening and still was backing Freddie Kitchens.
Right.
And I think that's the concerning part. So to look there and go, hey, we want to back this guy, we want to give him another chance, knowing how much of a chaotic situation it was there, how unprofessional it was. Having the players say, "Come get me," that could be misconstrued as a lot of things, like come at me, come get me, whatever, on the field. Doesn't necessarily mean that the players are trying to get recruited away.
Yeah, but to let Odell Beckham come out with the $30,000 watch, then he gets cited for having too dark a visor. Then he comes out with Landry. He recruits for Landry to have the funny shoes that they were told they had to change at halftime. You need those distractions like you need a hole in the head. Now, if you're winning every game, fine, you have some fun with it. You do this, you do that. But they were struggling. Yeah. And Dorsey should have stepped in and advised Kitchens to be a little bit more forceful with these guys, or maybe listen to the players. I don't know if Dorsey had the ear of any of the players that could go to him and complain about Freddie and complain about the locker, complain about the play calling.
It didn't seem like Freddie or that Dorsey was really interested in hearing it.
I guess
if he was backing Freddie, I think Dorsey's biggest issue was being a Freddie apologist when anybody with a pulse who's watching the Browns games can see that it is not working.
Right.
And to want to continue along that path, to continue down that path, to be honest, guys, it wasn't going to get any better. We all knew it, right? It's not like Belichick's early years of the Browns or Jimmy Johnson's early years. You could pray for that stuff, but we won 6 games on talent alone. It wasn't from a structured environment. Now, if you match high talent with excellent scheming and strategy, that's where you get excellence in playoffs. And I think a guy like Mike McCarthy, I think he brings that to the table day one. He's a winning coach. He's had success winning numerous times. He knows how to do that. And I know that the argument against him is, well, he had Aaron Rodgers. They should have won more Super Bowls. Well, guess what, guys? Drew Brees has only won 1 Super Bowl. There's a lot of coaches out there and players that only have 1 Super Bowl. Peyton Manning barely got 2, and he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Dan Marino is 0, right? So there's a lot of – you can't say that he should have done more. What I'm looking for in a coach to move us forward is somebody that will consistently put us in a position to compete for a Super Bowl. And you can't do that if you don't make the playoffs. And that is one thing. If you look at Mike McCarthy, I think in all of his years, there was like 2 out of like 15 years that he didn't make the playoffs. Or I'm sorry, 4. I think the first 2 and the last 2. Something like that. Mike McCarthy, if he comes to the Browns, will make us a playoff contender right away because he brings that structure and he matches it with the talent, right? Josh McDaniels, as from what we're hearing, is he is the white whale. We're going to throw everything in to get Josh McDaniels. I think that is dangerous. I think it's very dangerous. I think it is another Patriots assistant coach. This would be our 3rd out of the Belichick era. None of them have won anything yet. None of them won a Super Bowl or anything like that. So you've got Bill O'Brien, who's done an okay job. Mike Vrabel has done a pretty good job in his first year. But all the other ones really haven't done very much. And for us to then go and then say, we're going to give everything to Josh McDaniels, I think is a very dangerous dangerous thing.
The other thing is that you're only going to have 2 people interview. You're going to have the Haslams interview, and you're going to have Podesta interview. You're not going to have a Dorsey do an interview to give a contrasting view as to this coach is better than that coach, or I see this versus that in terms of the talent and the coaches that are going to come with this individual, regardless of whether you get a GM or not. It's really the head coach that's going to make the difference for the Browns. And McDaniel might be the right guy. Maybe he brings a good GM. Maybe he puts a talented coaching staff together, and he's able to clean up all the
Josh
mess.
McDaniels was the guy who drafted Tim Tebow in the first round. Let's not forget that. Like, that cannot be overlooked. When you look at Josh McDaniels, what he's done when he's had first-round draft picks, he drafted Tim Tebow in the first round.
But I would argue, the opposite of that from the standpoint of Tim Tebow was a winner. He found ways to win games. Even in the NFL, there were games that he found a way to win it. Now, they weren't pretty. They weren't in the, stay in the pocket. He wasn't able to run like he could run in the college ranks. But his fatal flaw was he just wasn't very accurate with the passing from 10, 15, 20, 25 yards. He would miss people by...
As Matthew was saying, it was like Tim Tebow was a winner, just couldn't throw.
Yeah, he couldn't throw.
And maybe you give Baker Mayfield to Josh McDaniels and you say, hey, turn Baker Mayfield into Tom Brady.
Right.
Who knows if that's possible. But I would argue Josh McDaniels wasn't the guy who turned Tom Brady into who Tom Brady is. I think Tom Brady was very seasoned by the time Josh McDaniels got around to calling the plays. Now, he's done great with him.
And Brady's had some talented wide receivers, guys that can hold on to the ball from tight end to wide receivers to
Gronk,
slot guys.
Troy Brown.
And a halfway decent running game from time to time with some guys that were their careers were resurrected because they got to the Patriots and they were utilized for a season or a season and a half, that type of thing. And I'm not taking anything away from Brady. Brady's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and under a coach like Belichick, just great combination. But he had some very and the Browns in the past when we've had talented wide receivers and you had Bernie Kosar, we had Sipe, etc. The end result was much better because we just had consistency and talent and guys that could hold on. Brian Brennan could hold on to the ball when Ozzie Newsome would. Our guys, like Mike said, I think the last time we were with you guys, Baker led the league in guys who dropped the ball on him. I mean, you can't have that.
How do you have a young quarterback? How do you have a young and very talented quarterback who puts a lot on himself to try to win games? He takes a lot of pride in it. He's the leader of the team. I would say he is. I would say Jarvis is the leader of the team. Baker is the heart of the team, and Nick Chubb is the soul of the team, right? But
way.
if you look at Baker himself, how are you going to have a second-year guy, and you're going to have the most drop passes in the last 2 years? You're leading the league in drop passes, balls that hit receivers' hands, balls that hit OBJ's hands, hit Jarvis Landry. Now, they have made amazing catches, one-handed catches, and touchdowns. They've made some amazing catches too, but the consistency is the thing that has hurt us. So you have wide receivers who are dropping balls that kill drives. You drop balls, you kill drives. And then on top of it, you have an offensive line that gives you no time. Nothing. So you become gun shy at that point. If you know, okay, I have to drop, I'm going to do a 5 to 7 step drop. Or I'm in the shotgun, so I'm going to do a 3-step drop out of the shotgun, which is effectively like a 7-step drop. Okay? So you're going to do that. You have to be able to make your read instantly, and if that guy's not open, you don't have any other time. Look at all the time that we gave to Devlin Hodge, and we gave to Andy Dalton, and we gave to the guy from Denver. I can't even remember the dude's name, right? We gave them so much time. But yet when we did rush, when you even rush guys like Lamar Jackson, if we actually had a scheme that put pressure on them, they made bad decisions. At least all you're doing is, when you're rushing the quarterback, putting pressure on, you're forcing that quarterback to make an uncomfortable decision.
A quick decision.
Quick and uncomfortable decision. Right. So that was the recipe to beating the Cleveland Browns this year. It was put all the pressure on Baker, because half the time, you're either going to get to him, or he's going to have to make a quick decision, or the wide receiver's going to drop the ball, or you're going to have some weird offense. The offensive player didn't get lined up correctly, or didn't come to a complete stop before they started the play. Just put pressure on and make them make quick decisions that make them uncomfortable, and that's how you beat the Browns. And then if you don't, if you can't stop Nick Chubb, then you have a problem. So that's all the Bengals did. They said, we're going to put pressure on you, we're going to stack the box, and we're going to make you beat us with your quarterback and wide receivers. Which, if you would have told me that in the beginning of the season, that a 1-14 team was gonna challenge us to throw the ball, I would have laughed you out of the city. So yeah, that's where we are. Todd Monken. If it is true that what he said, that he would go over to opposing coaches and tell them that the team was a complete mess, that's unprofessional. And it's
doesn't paint him in a very, very positive light. That's for sure.
It's like if you go in for a job interview, you're trying to go for a job, so my company here is really bad. Like everything's awful over here. It's a total mess. People don't want to hear that, right? Unless they're asking him like, what's it like over there? And he's like, oh, it's a total mess. Again, I don't think this has been corroborated by anybody on the other side. It's just being reported. We don't know who he said it to. We don't know what games it was.
It makes sense, though.
Who knows?
It totally makes sense. And as I said earlier, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of stories that are going to come out that are not going to paint the Browns and the organization.
Quincy's on. I want to say hi to Quincy Carrier. What's going on, dude? Come get me.
Hi, Quincy. So, I think it's helping us understand what we couldn't see from the outside. The people on the inside saw it. Probably Dorsey saw it or chose to ignore it, one or the other. Freddie knew what he was doing, per se. The players knew about it. Obviously, the other coaches within the organization knew about it, but we couldn't see it from the outside.
Yeah, we were just wondering. We're
speculating.
Like, what's happening? Why are we coming out red hot, and then all of a sudden it just turns into like literally
game after game.
The second drive.
It wasn't just one game. It was game after game. Even the announcers were saying it on TV. They were saying, "Oh, they're going to go through this fog in the second quarter and the third, and then they'll pick it up and they'll do something."
Even Baker was aware. He was so hyper aware of it. He knew about it when they interviewed him.
Right.
So to know that. So guys, we got a bunch of people in here. A lot of great chat going on. Quincy Carrier's in the house, in the chat. We have our very own. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button right now. If you're not subscribed, you'll get the nice little animation that pops up. Patreon, we got the Patreon ticker down there. There should be a link. If you go to Patreon, look for Brownie Post Game, or just use the link that's right there under the homage sign. You get the Brownie Post Game. Become one of our patrons as well. And if you're not subscribed to Quincy Carrier, go and search for Quincy Carrier on YouTube and subscribe to his channel. That dude's content is off the chart and awesome Brown stuff. So anyway, back to what we were talking about before. I think that all of this now will come out to be, and I have other information. I have other sources within the Browns, or ex sources from the Browns, who have said the whole time that this is as bad as it's been all along. So Donald Siebold, thank you for the subscription. Bing. This has been a thing for the Browns front office basically the entire time. Jimmy Haslam really doesn't know what he's doing. When they were saying he's giving up the reins to D. Haslam, imagine giving up the reins to your wife because you've just admitted you can't run this. Now, running a billion-dollar corporation, multi-billion-dollar corporation in Pilot Flying J, yet he can't manage a small, and what sports teams are, they're essentially like small mom and pop organizations. They're very small. There's a lot of very close-knit politics, and there's leaks that get out. There's a lot of people that are, it's like a very small high school, right? Mm-hmm. And Jimmy and Dee you can tell that they are used to operating at the ivory tower level. They're not used to operating in the trenches, trying to make micro decisions. And what we've seen happen when they get involved, when they start making these micro decisions and micromanaging the organization, bad things happen. Which is why I loved having John Dorsey in there. He's going to be the guy who's going to make the micro decisions and also set in the macro strategy. Now, he made the mistake with Freddie Kitchens. And the fact that he kept backing it.
Everybody makes a mistake. Everybody deserves a second chance. And with all the good things that Dorsey did, you give him a second chance. You give him a chance to have the coach that he wants to have, and the other supporting cast members and so forth to help clean it up. America loves a comeback story, and Dorsey deserved a second chance, just like I think Greg Williams deserved a second chance to take it to the next level in the next season. He didn't get that, which is regrettable, but things I think would have turned out a lot differently. But everybody's human. You make mistakes and you learn from your mistakes. That's one of the things that we were talking about in the last session with you guys about McCarthy, and that he took a year off to get this inner perspective of himself in terms of what he did good and what he did not do very well when he was finishing up those last couple of years with the Packers. So he's taking the time to look at what he can do better so he doesn't make the same mistake over and over again, which led to less success than he was used to. And I think that's a great quality to have, and something you want in your head coach, so that they can get better from week to week and learn from their mistakes.
Well, if Freddie was going out defending, if John Dorsey was going out defending Freddie Kitchens and saying that he really was pushing to have him be retained for another year, knowing all these things that have come out, knowing the little stories, knowing what Blau said, the quarterback for fourth string guy,
first crack in the armor.
Yeah, when Blau came out and said that things were really bad, the organizational structure, the meetings were all over the place, nobody knew what they were doing there. That was kind of like the first signal that, all right, maybe behind the scenes things are pretty bad.
But they didn't get better. They obviously did not get better from when Blau left, when he left early.
Yep.
So he didn't see what took place actually, behind the scenes during the season, the actual season. But it sounds like as these additional stories come out, it's going to point a very bleak picture of the way Freddie tried to learn the job on the job, and he was not able to do that. He had limited success. Could have turned on 2 or 3 games, which would have meant that, hey, he would have been learning next year too, and we'd be going through this maybe with a whole different set of circumstances, the new problems and whatnot that Freddie'd have to deal with. That's not going to happen. It's going to be left up to the new coach. And the other news that came out today was rather limited across the board as far as the NFL is concerned, but they did talk a little bit about the Browns on TV. I picked up one thing that they said that they are going to hold off on the GM position until they get the right coach.
Right.
And then the coach will have a significant impact on who they select as a general manager, which makes a lot of sense from the standpoint of you want those two guys on the same page. And if they're not, and it leads to all kinds of problems from the draft all the way through the season. So you got to get those two guys on the same page, and obviously with a new coach having that input, there'll be no excuse at the end of it to say we didn't pick the right GM.
Yeah, Neo the One, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate that. Make sure you guys are all hitting that notification button so you know when we go live. We're going to do a lot of these live streams. Every time there's new kind of breaking news about the Browns, what's going on in the offseason, since we don't have games to talk about anymore, anytime there's something new that comes out, we're going to try to hop on, go live as quickly as possible. The real goal now is to beef up the Patreon. So, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but if you guys get to the Patreon, and if you have $1 that you can give, all of this, the goal is to get a certain amount so we can really up the production value of the show and do better giveaways. That's really kind of the key thing. So anybody in the community, if you got it, really the first tier in Patreon is $1 a month. So if you support the channel, if you support what we do, and you find it in your heart to donate one measly morsel of $1 to these two passionate Browns fans so we can create more content for you, then please do. Patreon.com/BrowniePostgame. Yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. That was pretty much the big news today. Monken's comments, Monken coming out there kind of, if it's true, if it is, then I think he's got some explaining to do because he's still currently employed by the Browns. He hasn't been released. Right. So this is probably going to hurt his chances of staying with the team moving forward in quite a negative way. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, whenever we get more news, we're going to come live with you. Appreciate everybody for stopping in, saying
Appreciate
hi.
it, guys.
We got a lot of the same community. Anybody who's new, make sure you click that subscribe button. Thank you guys very much. Mick the Dog, what's going on? See you there. Real Browns Fan 32, Go Tribe. Frank Moneymaker, I remember that name. William Peterson, Jason Kimball, Shoot the Thrill, Laura S., Kawaki, Josh McCall. Who else we got in here? Ton Sports. Kyle Liu, what's going on, Kyle? Joey Naranjo, how's it going? So thank you guys very much for being a part of this impromptu Brownie post-game live stream.
Go Brownies. Happy New Year.
Yep. Go Brownies. Happy New Year. We'll see you next time. We got breaking news. Peace.
Bye.